Hey everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner, or welcome if you're new to my channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It would help me out, it'll help you out, because you'll have access to some of the best horror content on the web. With that being said, we're going to finish up the month of April here with a slasher movie from 1981, not surprisingly, one of many slasher movies from 1981. And this slasher movie is from my Blu-ray Scream Factory collection. And that movie is Final Exam from 1981. So yeah, there's the front, there's the back. Doesn't have a lot of special features on it, but yeah, Final Exam. Let's go ahead and get into it. This is a movie that I've had in my collection for a while, but just got around to watching for the first time here for this review. So, Final Exam is a 1981 American slasher film written and directed by Jimmy Huston. The plot follows a nameless killer stalking the remaining group of students left on a college campus days before the beginning of summer vacation. So one night at March College, a young couple are making out in a parked vehicle. An on-scene assailant slices the vehicle's roof open and murders them both. Meanwhile, the nearby Lanier College is preparing for its final exam date. In order to ensure a group of students ace their chemistry final, a fraternity fakes a shooting on campus so that the students can have more time to study. The prank works, resulting in a small number of students remaining on campus until the following day's final. Meanwhile, the murderer responsible for the March College killings arrives on campus in a van and begins stalking the remaining students. Bookish Courtney is studying hard for her exams, while her wealthy roommate Lisa is preparing to leave for her home in New York City. Lisa is also having an affair with one of her professors, Dr. Reynolds. Gary, a pledge of Gamma Delta, suffers from a prank in which he is bound to a tree for the night. The murderer unties him, jumps down from the tree, and eviscerates him with a knife. Gary's girlfriend, Janet, arrives and notices a silhouette in the distance on a building rooftop and follows, believing it to be Gary. When she realizes it is not her lover, she attempts to flee, but the killer grabs and murders her. So yeah, that's kind of the setup, the premise, the beginning of Final Exam. As far as the cast goes, we have Cecile Baghdadi as Courtney, Joel S. Rice as Radish, Sherry Willis Bursch as Janet, Ralph Brown as Wildman, Deanna Robbins as Lisa, Terry W. Farron as Gary, John Fallon as Mark. Yeah, I think I kind of jumped around in the cast order there. So anyway, that's the setup, the premise, and the cast for the 1981 slasher movie Final Exam. I like this movie well enough. It's not obviously not one of the top slashers, even of 1981, but for the most part, I had a good time with it. It kind of redeems itself at the end a little bit for me. It's got its problems for sure, but yeah, I, for the most part, I enjoyed this movie. So let's just go ahead and get into it. What I liked about it, starting with the pros. I should mention before that, of course, a lot of these slasher movies from the early 80s try to rip off Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween. And this movie's a reminder of why. I mean, this is a true borrowing from Halloween 1978. It has a lot of the same template, different setting, different characters, but the kills and the template for suspense and stalking is very much the same as Halloween, where you have an overpowering killer as well. So just wanted to throw that out there. Yeah, like I said, they're all sort of in the vein of Halloween from 1978, starting with Friday the 13th, the year prior to this in 1980. But this is clearly whoever produced and directed this movie watched Halloween from 1978 for sure. And let's just say they borrowed, if not flat out stole some from that. So anyway, with that being said, I have to start with the fact that I really enjoy the college campus setting. I just think that that's a great setting for a slasher movie specifically, even a horror movie, but I really thought it was really enjoyable. And I think they do a good job in this movie of exploring a lot of the different areas and locations throughout the college campus. You have scenes of like cool scenes in the gym, the workout room that's attached to it, the locker room, the cafeteria, professor's office, dorm rooms. They really make sure to explore the space there, the setting of this college campus. And a lot of times, not all movies that are set on college campuses do that. They might just take place in a dorm or something. So kudos to him for that. I really do like the setting of this movie. I think it's a very well shot movie. Great cinematography in this movie, and I think the camera work is especially well done, especially as it relates to the stalking scenes, as the killer's like stalking or looking on at characters. It's just overall very well done. It's clear that the director had an eye for the camera. The director of this movie. Who did I say that was again? Jimmy Huston or Houston. No, I think it's Huston. Jimmy Huston. But yeah, the camera work, the cinematography, that's definitely one of the best aspects of this movie. It's very well shot, especially with the camera work. I think the score is really great. It has sort of a mood-inducing sound score that is really effective for this type of movie. And I think it really adds to the atmosphere in this movie as well. The different scenes, the stalking scenes, the killing scenes, the score changes a little bit, but it's equally effective. And certainly they borrowed from John Carpenter on that, both a little bit from The Fog as well as Halloween. But yeah, good solid score in this movie. I have to say, I like most of the characters in this movie. I felt like they were pretty authentic college students, especially with the fraternity aspect of things. I probably like the two main characters, Courtney and Radish, the most. I thought they were the most likable, the most relatable, the easiest to root for. But really, there's none of the characters that really, I couldn't stand or anything like you tend to get in horror movies or certainly slasher movies. There's a couple of them that are your typical, your stereotypical stock characters, like the easy girl, to put it nicely, the jock, the guy that sort of is shrewding and trying to figure things out, not necessarily the most honest way. The kind of nerdy guy, which of course is what Radish is, and then the final girl of Courtney, who's sort of your shy, bookish girl that doesn't really have it all figured out. It's kind of jealous of some other people. We all know the type. But yeah, I thought the characters for the most part were pretty good, and I didn't think the acting was terrible. I thought it was serviceable, to be honest with you. And then the final half hour or so of this movie is a very effective third act. Really suspenseful with stalking scenes. A lot of the kills happen in this third act. I would say if there's 6 or 7 kills in this movie, 5 of them happen in the last 30 minutes or so of the movie. They all kind of go one, just boom, 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 the last half hour of the movie. And that's good. That's good for the end of the movie. You'll find out in my cons why that's not good in other ways. We'll get to that. But I thought the suspense was pretty well done with the music, the camera work, sort of the silhouette of the killer for the most part until they reveal him, which, again, we'll get into with the cons of that. And then the final climax between our final girl of Courtney and the killer, I thought that was a very effective climax, final confrontation. And Courtney really, I mean, she's pretty solid in that part, quite frankly. She does what a lot of final girls don't do, which is make sure the killer's dead. So yeah, I really like the final act, the final half hour, whatever you want to say, in terms of the final climax, the suspense, and the characters that are left there. So those are my overall pros for Final Exam from 1981. As far as cons go, there's really one big one, and I probably already hinted at this, but after the first 5 minutes where we get our initial kill at that March college where that young couple are making out and they end up getting killed, we basically go like 45 to 50 minutes of the movie before we get our next kill. And not much really happens. I mean, it's a lot of... there's not a lot of action or a lot of kills going on. It's more of an Animal House comedy for the most part, where we're getting to know our characters. Definitely a slow burn setup to the end. I kind of wish they would have spread out some of what they have in the third act. They would have pulled it back into earlier into the movie. Not to say that you couldn't still have had a really effective final act with some of your better kills in that confrontation that you had. But I wish they would have pulled back some of the kills to spread into the second act and maybe even the end of the first act in this movie. So that's kind of my biggest thing with the movie. Like I said, after that initial 5 minutes, you have to go 45 minutes before we really get to the good stuff in a slasher movie. So that was kind of disappointing. I wasn't totally bored by it, but I can understand why other people say that they are and that they had to turn it off or whatever. Although they do have, it's interesting. You can tell this movie was made in the early 80s because I think I mentioned this in the synopsis here. Getting ready for this final exam, the fraternity basically pulls a prank of a campus shooting. Needless to say, this movie wouldn't be made today, or if they try to remake this movie, I have a feeling that scene's not going to be in there because obviously we know school shootings now are a lot different than they were in 1980, and that would just be in very poor taste. So that's one thing that hasn't aged that well. But of course, at the time, we didn't have the school shootings that we have now in 2025 in the last 25 30 years. So but yeah, it does kind of play more like an Animal House comedy, getting to know a lot of the characters. Some of that is good, some of it is unnecessary or doesn't need to be extended as long as it is, in my opinion. I just wish the third act would have extended earlier into the movie, that's all. The kills themselves are not all that bloody or gory, or even shown on screen in some cases. And again, the lack of blood and gore is very much a template to the original Halloween from 1978. Because if you've watched that movie, which I'm assuming most of you have, you know that movie doesn't have any blood in it really. There's a strangulation. There's a couple of strangulations, I guess. How else? Anyway, it's almost a bloodless suspense movie. And that's what this movie was trying to go for. Not as good, definitely not as effective as Halloween from 1978, but that's the reason why the kills are kind of not bloody or gory. There's a little bit of blood here and there that's splattered around, but you're definitely not tuning into this for a lot of practical gore effects or anything. And then there are a couple of kills, like one character is pulled behind a building, and then we know that that character is killed, but we don't actually see it. A lot of the kills are just stabbings. There is the best kills probably has to do with the gym equipment. An exercise machine is probably the best kill. But yeah, just don't go into this expecting carnage on screen or that the kills are going to be anything magnificent. And then my final con is the killer's look. When it is revealed, I mean, it's not really revealed until we get to the last half hour. But when it is revealed, it's just a normal guy. I mean, he's a big hulking guy, and he's got a lot of strength, as that's shown throughout the movie. So, again, kind of take it from Halloween like that with Michael Myers, almost supernatural to a certain extent. But I would have liked a little bit more mystique with this killer. And I'm not going to offer the one complaint that a lot of people have, which is there's no motivation for this killer. We don't know anything about him. That doesn't bother me. In fact, I think the director even said that was part of the point, is that people die every day, and you don't always have to have a backstory, especially for a slasher movie. That really doesn't bother me, that we don't know what his motivations are. But I just thought the look of the killer, and I thought they could have at least waited till the very end to show his face. And I mean, you see pretty much all of them in the last half hour when he's going after the remaining characters here. And that just kind of felt a little underwhelming, a little disappointing. I would have liked a little bit more mystique. Not that he necessarily had to wear the exact mask that Michael Myers wore, but just something to keep him out of the shadow so we don't exactly see him clear as day. So, with all that being said, guys, I like this movie. I don't love it. I like it. I'm going to give Final Exam a 7 out of 10. So yeah, 7 out of 10 for Final Exam from 1981. Go ahead and comment down below what you guys think of this movie if you've seen it. Do you like it as a slasher movie? Do you not? Why or why not? Please like this video, hit the little notification bell, and subscribe to my channel as I mentioned earlier, so you don't miss any of my upcoming reviews for 1981 or any of my other great horror content that I have coming out after this series. So with all that being said, I hope you're doing well and thank you for watching. Hope you're enjoying this series, but as always, stay scared. Bye.